the underworld boss of City A, in order to raise 2 dead servants for his daughters, chose me and my younger brother to become the Liu family's live-in sons-in-law. After we came of age, my younger brother followed the cruel and violent eldest daughter, while I followed the gentle and quiet second daughter. For 20 years, I stayed by her side. I took 19 fatal blows for her, and countless minor injuries, through blades and flames. At a single word from her, I never hesitated. She loved my loyalty. Yet she never allowed me to touch her. I thought she despised the scars all over my body, and I never dared to overstep my place, until a car accident happened. The eldest daughter perished in the flames, on the night of the vigil. I saw the second daughter in the morning hall, holding my younger brother, his body covered in whip marks, crying with tear-filled eyes. She choked out, "These years, you've suffered. Finally, I can be with you." Only then did I realize, she had remained chaste all these years for my younger brother. Afterward, in order to be with Makoto, she decided to send me in exchange to the eldest daughter's household. She said to me, "Makoto has been tortured by my sister for so long. You're different. You've enjoyed so many good years with me. What's a few days of suffering? Isn't that much easier than going through blades and flames?" I agreed. This would be the last time I obeyed her command, but I never expected. On the very next day after the exchange, the eldest daughter came back. Chapter 01. When the eldest young lady, Willow, returned, dawn had just broken. The mist of late autumn had yet to disperse, and the commotion in the second young lady Freya's room had only just subsided. No one had expected that Freya, who had always been abstinent and disciplined, would have such a day of indulgence. Even less expected was that my good younger brother, Makoto, who had once been trampled under Willow's feet, could display such overwhelming prowess. Although many were dissatisfied with the second young lady's behavior, Lord Eagle had only this one daughter left. Without a doubt, she would soon become the sole master of both the company and this household, and Makoto would be her live-in husband. So aside from casting sympathetic glances at me, no one dared to say a word. My heart had already gone numb. I no longer cared how others looked at me. From the moment I put on these mourning clothes, no, to be precise, from the moment the second young lady held Makoto and kissed him passionately, everything between us had already ended. In those years, I had treated her with sincerity, and my conscience was clear. Now that she had gotten what she wanted, I no longer needed to live a life on the edge of a blade, nor lose sleep worrying about someone else's safety. Wasn't that, in itself, a kind of release? As the widower of the eldest young lady, I received a generous monthly allowance and didn't even need to work. It was practically an early, comfortable retirement. After keeping vigil all night, and being whispered about all night, everyone was exhausted and had gone to rest. According to the Liu family's traditions, I had to keep vigil for 3 days and 3 nights without moving. I had just sat down, planning to ease my aching knees while no one was around, when I saw Willow walk in, her body covered in blood. She was barefoot, her tall figure swaying as if about to collapse. Behind her trailed bloody footprints. She looked at the morning hall and her own portrait. There was no anger, no hatred. Then her gaze slowly shifted to me. I would never forget the look in her eyes at that moment. Helpless, lost, her eyes brimming with tears that refused to fall. The rims of her eyes were red, making her look especially pitiful. The moment that thought crossed my mind, I felt like I had gone mad. This had to be a hallucination. It must have been because I had been sent abroad by the second young lady 2 days ago to carry out an assassination mission. Rushed back without rest, then immediately informed to keep vigil for the eldest young lady. Kneeling for an entire day and night. I hadn't rested for too long, so I was seeing things. Otherwise, how could the always domineering eldest young lady show such an expression? Even if she had become a ghost, she should have been a vicious one that devoured anyone she saw. I asked, "Miss, are you human, or a ghost?" Willow walked toward me, but after only a couple of steps, she stumbled forward weakly. I hurried forward to catch her. Whether human or ghost, she was my wife. I couldn't let her fall flat on her face right in front of me. When she fell into my arms, I was even more stunned. Her body was warm. She was breathing. She was alive. I picked her up and drove her to the hospital. After a series of examinations, the doctor concluded that she had suffered a severe impact to the head, resulting in memory loss and cognitive impairment. She was now equivalent to a 6-year-old child. As for who we were, she had forgotten everything. I turned back to look at her, dressed in a hospital gown, her body wrapped in bandages of all sizes, her hair still stained with dried blood, but her face had been cleaned. Her delicate, striking features were like that of an angel, as if God had shown off his craftsmanship. Her clear eyes shifted between the candy a nurse had given her to comfort her and me, carrying a hint of pleading that had never once appeared in her gaze before. I rubbed my face, trying to clear my head. No matter what, it was fortunate that she had lost her memory. I wouldn't end up like Makoto. When I lowered my hands, she suddenly leaned in close to me. wrapping both arms around my neck. Her bare feet stepped onto my shoes, and I instinctively held her by the waist. She asked with concern, "Are you feeling unwell?" I still couldn't adapt to her current state. And no. "Miss, you should go back to bed. You need rest. I'll inform Lord Eagle that you're still alive." She blinked those beautiful almond-shaped eyes and asked, "You call me Miss? Is that my name?" "No, your name is Willow Lu. You are the eldest young lady of the Lu family in a city." She lowered her head, digesting the information for a moment, then looked up again. "Then what's your name? Who are you? Are you my brother?" At such close distance, in such an intimate posture, Freya had never been this close to me. Even though she looked innocent and harmless now, I couldn't help recalling her former cruelty, fearing that in the next second my throat might be slit open. I lifted her in my arms and placed her back onto the hospital bed, covering her with the blanket. "I'm George, your husband." She grabbed me again. "What does husband mean?" For a moment, I didn't know how to explain it. In the Lu family, the role of a child-raised husband came in many forms. It could mean a personal bodyguard, a trusted aide, a death warrior, a plaything, or even a disposable tool to be discarded when no longer needed. They could treat us however they wished. If dissatisfied, they could replace us at any time, and we could never say no. At that moment, a passing nurse smiled and said, "A husband is someone who isn't related to you by blood, but will protect you and care for you for a lifetime." Willow nodded as if she half understood, looking at me. Her eyes curved into a smile. "I like husband." I was speechless. Chapter 2. Bang. The hospital room door was kicked open. I spun around abruptly the moment I saw Freya. Before I even had time to explain, a slap landed across my face. I hadn't rested for too long, my body was already at its limit. After taking that hit, my vision instantly went black. She was furious, and she had used full force. The taste of blood filled my mouth, and my cheek burned, the pain spreading all the way to my ears, triggering a sharp ringing. I could barely keep myself standing. "George, have you forgotten the rules? You're supposed to keep vigil for 3 days and 3 nights without moving. Yet you dare come to the hospital to slack off. My father came and couldn't find you, so he dragged Makoto over to keep vigil instead. He's already been kneeling for almost an hour. His body was long since ruined by Willow. He can't endure kneeling like that. Get back with me right now, and punish yourself by kneeling for 10 days and 10 nights. If you dare slack off again and drag Makoto into this, don't blame me for breaking your legs." Makoto had only knelt for an hour, yet I was supposed to punish myself for 10 days and 10 nights. Suddenly, a force from behind pulled me away. Right before Freya's disbelieving eyes, Willow slapped her across the face. The sharp crack echoed through the room. I froze in shock. Willow, hit Freya for me. The sisters had always fought in secret. They had never come to blows openly before. After the first slap, Willow glanced at my already swollen cheek. Without hesitation, she raised her hand and slapped Freya again. Willow had trained in martial arts since childhood. Her strength was no joke, let alone Freya. Even I wouldn't be able to take those 2 hits. Freya staggered backward and crashed into a pile of medical equipment. She tried to steady herself, but the machines couldn't support her weight. They toppled over, and she fell to the ground with them. It took her quite a while before she managed to speak. "Willow, you're not dead." Willow ignored her. She turned back, cupping my face, her eyes full of distress. "If you dare hit my husband again, I'll break your legs." I stared at Willow in disbelief. She was protecting me. This was something I had never experienced when I was by Freya's side. Even when I worked for her and offended others, she would only side with them and punish me, just to distance herself and show how well she managed her people. Willow was clearly learning on the fly, but it fit her original personality so perfectly that if not for the word husband, I would have thought she had fully recovered. Freya had always been afraid of her elder sister. Although she was puzzled as to why Willow was treating me well, she didn't dare ask. She quickly apologized instead. "I'm sorry, big sister. I was just too anxious. I didn't mean it." Willow frowned. "Big sister? She's my younger sister." Her imposing aura vanished in an instant, replaced by the curiosity of a child as she walked over and examined Freya. Freya was so unnerved by her stare that goosebumps rose on her skin. She clearly felt something was off, but didn't dare ask, only sneaking glances at me, silently asking for confirmation. I lowered my head and rubbed my cheek, pretending not to notice. Willow straightened up and said, "I remember having a younger sister, but she was very cute, chubby and soft, not ugly like you." Freya was speechless. I struggled to suppress a laugh, walked over, and picked Willow up again. "Miss, you're not wearing shoes. You'll catch a cold. Get some rest first. I'll go inform Lord Eagle, your father." Willow grabbed onto my sleeve, fear flickering in her eyes, completely mismatched with her face. "Then come back quickly." I patted the back of her hand, gently coaxing her. I'll be back soon." I stepped out of the room. Freya followed me out and pressed, "What's going on with her?" I didn't hide anything. There was no point, she would find out sooner or later. She suffered severe trauma to the head. She's lost her memory right now. She only has the intelligence of a 6-year-old. Freya smiled. Well, that's interesting. Then realization hit her, and she added, then why did you let her hit me just now? In the past, you would have stood in front of me and protected me. I put on a helpless expression. Second miss, did you forget? You were the one who injured me first. I wasn't in any condition to help you. I pointed at the wound on the corner of my mouth. Freya glared at me. You call that an injury? I replied. Why wouldn't it count? I'm human too, she said. So you've grown bold. Ah, now you know how to complain. She pinched my chin, her smile laced with amusement. Are you trying to compete for favor? An image flashed through my mind, Makoto lying in her lap, whining about how painful a tiny hangnail on his finger was. With a hint of disdain, I said, no, I'm just stating the facts. Chapter 3. Freya clearly didn't believe me, but she didn't press further. With her face still swollen, she went off to find the doctor and learn more about Willow's condition. I took off my morning clothes and tossed them into the trash, then pulled out my phone to notify Lord Eagle. He was delighted upon hearing the news and immediately set out for the hospital with his people. After I hung up, Freya returned. George, the doctor said that based on the diagnosis, they can only confirm that she suffered severe trauma to the brain. They can't determine whether her memory loss is real or an act. I'm not at ease. Help me test her, see if she's pretending. That, at least, I didn't doubt. If she were pretending, she would never come near me. Everyone knew I had followed Freya loyally for 20 years, the kind who would stand in front of her even in death. Before Willow's accident, she had treated me as a thorn in her side. If she trusted me now, wouldn't that be like keeping a ticking time bomb by her side? There was no way Freya hadn't thought of that. I went along with her and asked, how does the second young lady want me to test her? Freya curved her lips into a smile, her gaze soft as water as she straightened my shirt collar. Do I really need to teach you? You should know that in the end, one of us has to disappear. George, you've never disappointed me when it comes to getting things done, have you? By her meaning, the result of this test would be either the eldest young lady's death, or mine. My eyes swept over the faint red marks on her neck, and I reminded her politely, second miss, mind your words. I belong to the eldest young lady now. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. Freya's expression darkened. She grabbed my collar tightly. George, are you defying me? A child-raised husband cannot defy his mistress. Have you forgotten? I seized her wrist and shot back. You're the one who forgot. You chose Makoto and personally handed me over to the eldest young lady. You are no longer my mistress. Freya turned her hand and clasped mine instead. Then what about the bond we've built over 20 years? Is that not enough for you to help me? Second miss, is it really appropriate for you to bring up bond now? She had just abandoned me, and while I was keeping vigil, she spent the entire night indulging herself with Makoto, making sure everyone knew he belonged to her, and that I was nothing. And now she spoke of bonds. It was laughable. Freya flung my hand away. You've only been with her for a day. She hugged you a couple of times and you're already bewitched. Is your self-control really that weak? Then how did you even pass the training facilities test back then? I replied. You know exactly how my self-control is. Maybe you should ask how Makoto passed that test instead. Freya's voice turned cold. Makoto has loved me from the beginning to the end. He was only chosen first by my sister. He had no choice. You occupied his place by my side and enjoyed the ease he could never have. You have no right to compare yourself to him. I let out a small laugh. Right. I have no right to compare myself to him. And you have no right to order me around either. Freya bit her lip. You. The ward door opened. Willow stood there, looking at me pitifully. George, it's been so long. Are you still not done notifying them? Both Freya and I were startled. How long had she been standing there listening? Was this a coincidence? Or was she really pretending to have lost her memory? But she had no reason to. With her usual style, if she suffered a loss, she would strike back twice as hard. Why would she bother pretending? At that moment, Lord Eagle arrived with his people. Freya shot me a warning glance and quickly went forward to greet him. I returned to the ward and first led Willow back to her bed. After learning about Willow's condition, Lord Eagle frowned deeply and coughed for quite a while. Freya admitted her fault. I'm sorry, Father. The body in the car was burned beyond recognition. I could only identify it through my sister's phone. I didn't expect to make a mistake. Lord Eagle raised his hand slightly. This isn't your fault. Have you found out who's behind it? Freya shook her head again. Everyone who came into contact with my sister's car that day has been interrogated under torture, even facing death. Not a single one of them said a word. Of course they couldn't. The ones she had beaten to death were all the eldest young lady's trusted subordinates, and she had thrown their families into the sea along with them, leaving no one alive, cutting off every route. Chapter 4. I only learned about this after returning from abroad. My principle in doing things has always been not to implicate the elderly or the young. The fact that she sent me away at that time must have been because she feared my soft heart would ruin her plans. When I found out about it, I no longer wanted to stay by her side. In the past, when she killed, I could still understand it as something beyond her control, forced by circumstances, but now, she killed innocent people without even blinking. I simply could no longer face that hypocritical, gentle facade of hers. I had been thinking of finding an opportunity to fake my death and get away, when I happened to catch her in the act with Makoto, and just like that, she handed me over to the eldest young lady without the slightest hesitation. Lord Eagle flew into a rage. Is this how you handle things? It's been so long and you still haven't found the mastermind behind it. You've truly disappointed me. Everyone lowered their heads respectfully, not daring to even breathe loudly. I also lowered my head, when suddenly, a soft, warm hand slipped into mine behind my back. I turned around. Willow was biting her lip, looking frightened. Lord Eagle and the uncles present also noticed her fear. Every one of them found it unbelievable. In the past, she was the only one who would dare say, when Lord Eagle was angry, "Old master, getting angry won't solve anything." Their gazes unconsciously gathered on me. As for me, aside from what they jokingly called my hard-to-kill nature, saying I could practically be sworn brothers with the king of hell, I had nothing particularly outstanding in their eyes. Seeing her like this only made Lord Eagle more distressed. He said, "Investigate. This must be investigated thoroughly. I want to see who has the audacity to harm my daughter on my territory." Fourth Uncle Wu spoke up. "Big brother, the urgent matter now is to determine the next family head. Your health can't be delayed any longer. You need to go abroad for treatment as soon as possible. I'll personally lead the investigation and make sure to give the eldest young lady an explanation." Lord Eagle thought for a moment and said, "Then starting today, Willow will be the new head of the family. All of you are to protect her well and support her with utmost dedication." The expressions of the uncles varied. Freya's face, however, was the most dramatic. The position of family head that she had schemed so hard to obtain, Willow gained it effortlessly because of this misfortune. Even though she was unwilling, she had to suppress it with all her might, to the point that the corners of her mouth twitched. Fourth Uncle Wu said, "Big brother, isn't this inappropriate? How can Willow manage the company in her current state?" Third Uncle Zhao also voiced concern. "Forget managing the company, whether she can even take care of herself is a question. Big brother, why not let Freya take over as family head? She has a gentle temperament and has always treated others kindly. She will surely take good care of Willow." Her elder sister, Lord Eagle said firmly, "My decision is final. There's no need for further discussion. Freya, I'll compensate you with 2 commercial streets." Freya forced herself to appear obedient. "Father, I'll follow your arrangements. There's no need to compensate me. My sister ended up like this partly because of me. I failed to protect her." Lord Eagle frowned. "If I'm giving it to you, then take it. I don't want others to say I'm being partial." After a pause, he added, "One more thing, who arranged the switch between Makoto and George?" Freya replied without changing expression. "It was the eldest sister who asked me for George before the incident. Makoto was covered in injuries, perhaps she had grown tired of him." Lord Eagle glanced at Willow, who was clutching my hand tightly, and said nothing further, only leaving behind one instruction: "Take good care of her." I nodded. Yes. Lord Eagle left. He had the entire floor sealed off, arranged a medical team specifically to treat Willow, and left behind 4 of his trusted men, Jackal, Wolf, Tiger, and Leopard, to ensure the eldest young lady's safety. Chapter 5. In the hospital parking lot. Freya remained bent slightly forward. Only after Lord Eagle's car had driven far away did she straighten up, clenching her fists unwillingly. Makoto got out of the car and draped a coat over her shoulders. She grabbed it and flung it hard onto the ground. Freya snapped sharply. "Not playing favorites. His favoritism has gone all the way to another galaxy." Makoto wrapped his arms around her. "Second miss. Let's talk inside the car." The 2 of them got in, but didn't leave for a long time. After a while, the driver stepped out and walked away. The car began to rock rhythmically. I withdrew my gaze. From another window, Jackal, Wolf, Tiger, and Leopard, who had also been watching, looked away as well. Leopard sneered. "He's always saying the eldest young lady beat him half to death. Yet his waist seems to be working just fine. He can even get a car this heavy rocking." Jackal shot him a glare, signaling him to shut up. Willow, however, wasn't affected by their words at all. She stared at the 4 of them for a while, then asked me softly, "They look so fierce. I'm scared. Can you ask them to leave?" I said awkwardly, "Miss, they're Lord Eagle's men. I don't have the authority to command them." "Don't worry, they won't hurt you. Only me." Lord Eagle didn't trust me, that's why he left people behind to watch me. If I asked them to leave now, I'd be signing my own death warrant. Oh, Willow didn't seem too happy. She grabbed me again and asked, "What does family head mean?" I looked at her with mixed feelings. If she hadn't lost her memory, Then her acting was far too good. At least, I couldn't find a single flaw. Her eyes were as clear as a child's. It's a job everyone wants, but a very difficult one, she said. If it's so difficult, why does everyone want it? I don't want it. That wasn't up to you. The two sisters had been competing since they were young, whether willingly or not. Neither of them could escape that fate. I changed the subject. Don't think about it. Get some sleep. Willow pouted. I smell bad. I can't sleep. I want to take a bath. I frowned. You can't. Your injuries can't get wet. But I can't sleep like this. It feels awful. As she spoke, she started tugging at her clothes in frustration. The four men on the other side all averted their gaze, though they were still closely watching my movements. I held down her hands and coaxed her gently. Miss, be careful of your wounds. How about I help you wash your hair? You'll feel much better after that. You can wash the rest of your body in a few days. Willow reluctantly agreed. I had someone bring in a portable shampoo bed and connected the water. Just as I was about to wash her hair, Makoto walked in, holding a bouquet of flowers and a fruit basket filled with strawberries. Miss, I heard you were ill. I was very worried. He held the flowers and knelt beside the bed, looking up at her like a devout believer. That had always been her preference before she lost her memory. She liked being looked up to. Do you still remember me? I observed Willow's reaction. She stared at Makoto for a long time, then shook her head. I don't remember, but you look really ugly. Makoto was speechless. I couldn't hold it in. I let out a snort of laughter. The four men on the sofa also laughed. Back when we were among the candidates, I had fought my way through with sheer strength. Makoto had relied on his looks. He had a face that blurred the line between masculine and feminine, delicate and alluring. When he smiled, even the cafeteria lady at the training facility couldn't help but give him extra food. Back then, Willow had likely chosen him because of his looks. Who would have thought that after losing her memory, he would become ugly in her eyes? Makoto shot me a glare. Still unwilling to give up, he placed the flowers and fruit basket aside, rolled up his sleeves, and said, Miss, are you washing your hair? I used to be the one who took care of your daily life. Let me do it, so some clumsy person doesn't upset you. Willow wasn't buying it. No, I want George to do it. Stay away from me. I feel uncomfortable just looking at you. This time, Makoto couldn't even force a smile. Even with her memory gone, she still couldn't forget her dislike for him. Chapter 6. He still didn't leave. He watched as I helped Willow arrange her hair, while she lay back on the chair, casually scrolling through her phone. I wasn't worried that Makoto would make a move against Willow. He wasn't as skilled as I was. He stood no chance if he acted. Not to mention, I had 4 others here backing me up. If he made a move, it would be a one-way ticket to death. Freya favored him so much. How could she possibly let him come here just to die? He was probably here to test things. He had spent 20 years by Willow's side. No one knew her better than he did. The reason I didn't tell him to get lost was because I wanted to see what kind of conclusion he could draw. Jackal didn't say anything either, likely thinking the same as I was. Makoto spoke up. Brother, you're doing this wrong. You should apply essential oil first and comb out the tangles. Hey, not like that. You can't put oil directly on the scalp. What can those hands of yours do besides killing people? As he criticized me, he squeezed me aside. Seeing that Willow didn't object, I stepped back. I really wasn't good at this kind of thing. Rather than accidentally hurting her and making her unhappy, it was better to let someone eager to serve take over. I had just handed the shower head to Makoto when he suddenly turned on the water. I hurried to adjust the direction, but it was too late. Willow was sprayed all over. She sat up, her expression instantly turning cold and sharp. My heart sank. So she was pretending. That bastard Makoto, he used me to test her. Makoto immediately put on a panicked face and grabbed a towel. Miss, are you all right? George, I told you you're clumsy and can't serve properly. I tried to help you out of kindness, yet you splashed water on me, and even got the miss soaked. That's going too far. Meeting Makoto's provocative gaze, I found myself unable to defend myself. Not only was I bad at serving, I was also bad at verbal battles like this. Makoto had cleverly blocked Jackal and the others' line of sight. Willow had been absorbed in her phone at the time. She definitely hadn't seen it. Now he was pleased with himself. Not only had he tested whether Willow had lost her memory, he had also used me as a pawn to eliminate a threat. I knew too many of Freya's secrets. If Willow had truly died, I might have survived as her widower. But now that she was alive, and I had disobeyed Freya, there was no way Freya would tolerate me. Last month, when I was hospitalized from severe injuries after saving Freya, I heard that when Makoto once poured water for Willow, he accidentally let a single drop fall on her shoulder. She had pressed his head into a lotus tank and suffocated him twice before letting him go. And now Willow was drenched, her hospital gown soaked through, her hair dripping wet. With her temper, I would probably be thrown into the Pacific Ocean to feed the sharks. I lowered my head. I'm sorry, miss. I didn't mean it. I'm willing to return to the training facility and take 100 lashes as punishment. Please forgive me. This was the only way out. If she acted personally, I would definitely die. After taking the punishment, I could fake my death and escape. From then on, the conflict between the two sisters would have nothing to do with me. Just as Jackal was about to take me away, Willow suddenly stood up. She grabbed Makoto and slammed his head into the basin, turning on the water and dousing him. Frowning, she said, "I saw you, and you're still blaming George. You're a bad person, a terrible one." "It wasn't me, miss. It was George, not me." He was certain Willow hadn't seen anything, but Willow insisted, "It was you, it was you." She didn't just pour water, she wrapped the hose around his neck and pulled it tight. Makoto didn't dare struggle. Terrified, he dropped to his knees. "Miss, spare me, I know I was wrong." Willow glared at him. "If you know you're wrong, then apologize." "I'm sorry, miss." "Not to me." Makoto's face turned red from suffocation, veins bulging in his bloodshot eyes. He turned toward me. "I was wrong, brother, please spare me." Jackal, the others, and I were all stunned. What kind of absurd turn was this? I had thought I was the one doomed to die, but instead, it was Makoto. Willow didn't even mention being drenched herself, she was actually standing up for me. Now I was certain she had truly lost her memory. Otherwise, she would never have done something like this. As Makoto's eyes began to roll back, I strangely calmed down. Jackal called Wolf over to try to intervene. Even when beating a dog, one must consider its owner. Makoto belonged to Freya, Willow could act, but they couldn't simply stand by and do nothing. But Willow didn't let go. She ignored their words entirely, staring stubbornly at me, waiting for me to speak. Jackal was at a loss and turned to look at me as well. Makoto's eyes were bulging, his tongue hanging out, unable to utter a single word. But I wasn't about to say anything like, "I forgive you." I had never harmed him, yet he tried to put me to death. Then he should bear the consequences of his failure. Chapter 7. At that moment, Freya rushed in. "Big sister, Makoto is mine. What did he do for you to want to kill him?" Willow still didn't let go. She looked at Makoto curiously and asked, "He's yours? Then why did he say he used to serve me?" Freya stared at Makoto nervously. "He used to be, now he's with me. Please let him go." "Oh, I don't mind if you like picking up things I've discarded. But he did something wrong, he got me all wet and bullied George. Shouldn't he be punished?" Without hesitation, Freya said, "Big sister, I'll apologize to you on his behalf." Willow shook her head. "George hasn't forgiven him yet." Freya glared at me. "George, it's not a big deal. Just say something and let big sister release him." Not a big deal. If Willow hadn't lost her memory, the one about to die right now would be me. I didn't have Makoto's luck, no one would come rushing in to defend me. Willow spoke for me instead. "If a dog bites someone, the owner apologizes on its behalf. Is this how you apologize?" Freya clenched her teeth, stepped closer to me, and lowered her voice. "George, I didn't treat you poorly before. Can you really bear to let me suffer this humiliation?" So apologizing to me was humiliation. Was I that lowly in her eyes? No wonder every time I risked my life for her and came back from the brink of death, all she ever said was, "Well done." I replied coldly, "The eldest young lady isn't someone I can control." Then I turned and added, "Miss, your hand must be getting tired, right? There's no need for you to do such rough work yourself. Just give the order, I'll do it." But Willow said, "No, you're my husband, not a servant. I wouldn't bear to let you do something so dirty." I froze for a moment. A warmth I had never felt before flowed through my chest. Tilting her head, Willow looked at Makoto and said, "His neck isn't made of iron, right? You're not even in a hurry. If it snaps, can it be welded back together?" Freya shot me a vicious glare, then lowered her head. "I'm sorry, George. I apologize on Makoto's behalf." Willow finally let go. She wiped her hands in disgust on Jackal's clothes, then threw herself into my arms, her arms looping around my neck, her long, toned legs wrapping around my waist. Pouting, she said, "George, I'm scared of that bad guy. He's so disgusting." I was speechless. Jackal, wolf, tiger, and leopard were equally speechless. Who exactly should be afraid here? Willow added, "But for some reason, hitting him felt so natural. It must be because he's too ugly. Otherwise, I'm such a good girl, why would I hit anyone?" I laughed and played along. Yes, you're the best behaved." Makoto, who had nearly died, was utterly speechless. Freya helped Makoto out. Now, when Jackal and the others looked at me, there was even a hint of respect in their eyes. Honestly, I felt a bit overwhelmed. Escaping was no longer possible. I could only take things one step at a time. Holding Willow, I didn't even know where to put my hands. I could only support her with my wrists under her firm hips. Her clothes were soaked, the dampness and her body heat seeped through my shirt, making it feel as if our skin was pressed together. Stirring restless thoughts, Jackal and the others tactfully moved to the corner, facing the wall. I forcibly suppressed any inappropriate thoughts and said calmly, "Miss, You need to change your clothes immediately. Your wounds also need to be treated again. Let go of me first. With a smug expression, she asked, so can I take a bath now? I was about to say no when she suddenly straightened up and pointed at the phone on the floor. It says there, if you mistreat your wife, wealth will never come. If you mistreat your husband, illness will follow for life. If you don't let me bathe, you'll never get rich. The corner of my mouth twitched, so that was what she had been so absorbed in on her phone. Looking at her eyes filled with pleading, I finally gave in. All right, I'll arrange it. Chapter 8. I went out to ask a female caregiver and a nurse for waterproof dressings, planning to cover her wounds before helping her bathe and change clothes. But the moment they entered, Willow drove them out. I don't want you. Go away. George. I hurried back into the room. Miss, what's wrong? Willow curled up on the chair. I don't want strangers to bathe me. I'm scared. Daughters of the Liu family had faced danger since childhood. They trusted no one around them, especially at moments like bathing or sleeping, when their vulnerabilities were exposed. That was precisely why the Liu family trained child-raised husbands so rigorously. But I had only been hers for a single day. Our relationship hadn't reached the point where I could bathe her. Even Freya had never allowed me that. She only ever had me stand outside the bathroom to guard her safety. I walked over, crouched in front of Willow, and coaxed gently, Miss, it's not appropriate for me to bathe you. They were chosen by Lord Eagle. They're absolutely safe. Let them help you while I wait outside. All right. Willow pouted, looking wronged. You're bullying me. You're not a good husband. I thought of how she had just protected me. Making her feel wronged now felt like betrayal. I asked, are you sure you want me to do it? She nodded. I'm sure. All right. This, however, left Jackal and the others in a difficult position. Miss, we'll stay outside the bathroom. If anything happens, just call. We'll come in immediately. Willow said, no need. You can all leave. They didn't dare leave, but in the end, they did, likely after receiving instructions from Lord Eagle. Inside the bathroom, I forced myself to remain calm as I tore open the waterproof dressings and carefully treated the wound on her face. I was just about to ask her to roll up her sleeves when she suddenly took off her soaked top. This is too wet. It's uncomfortable. I held my breath, fixing my gaze straight ahead, but my peripheral vision couldn't help drifting toward places it shouldn't. Warm air from above blew down, making my whole body feel heated. She blinked, then suddenly leaned closer. Her cool fingertips brushed against my throat. George, this thing here keeps moving. Her touch felt like an electric current, spreading through my entire body the moment she made contact. I grabbed her hand and wrapped a towel around her. Don't worry about that. Let me check your injuries. She obediently let me handle her. Some of the wounds had reopened, yet she didn't even cry out in pain. I also noticed many old scars on her body, several of them fatal wounds. Freya didn't have this many scars. She cherished her body and always had me protect her closely whenever she went out. Seeing these injuries, I couldn't help but feel that the beatings Makoto had suffered in the past weren't undeserved. After finally tending to all her wounds, I turned on the temperature-controlled shower, intending to explain how to use it so she could bathe herself while I waited outside. But the moment I turned around, she had already placed the towel aside and walked past me calmly, her graceful figure stepping directly under the water. Steam quickly enveloped her. Crystal-clear streams of water ran down her pale, faintly flushed skin. She closed her eyes, and I couldn't look away. Each droplet sliding down her body seemed to strike directly against my heart, pounding violently. My heartbeat raced uncontrollably. Even in life-and-death situations, my adrenaline had never surged like this. She shrank back slightly as water mixed with dried blood from her hair ran into her eyes. George, it hurts. She cried out, extending her pale arm toward me. Instinctively, I pulled her into my arms. My shirt was instantly soaked through, and my restraint began to crumble. She rubbed her face lightly against my chest, then looked up at me with clear, innocent eyes. In that instant, I snapped back to my senses, silently cursing myself. She was Willow, not someone I could touch, and right now, she only had the mind of a 6-year-old. Wouldn't that make me no different from someone taking advantage of her? I clenched my fists, then slowly let her go, forcing calm into my voice. I'll help you wash. I carefully washed her hair. As for the rest, I rinsed it quickly and efficiently, finishing as fast as possible before wrapping her in a bathrobe. I called the nurse back in to rebandage her wounds, while I stood behind her and dried her hair. That single bath had nearly drained all my strength. After the nurse left, I tucked her into bed. Go to sleep. Then I turned and walked into the bathroom, turning the cold water on full. Chapter 9. By the time I finished showering and came out, Willow was already asleep. Her bathrobe hung loosely, unable to conceal her alluring curves. I only glanced at her briefly, but the 40 minutes of cold water I had endured were rendered completely useless. Grinding my teeth, I covered her properly with the blanket, then took my phone and stepped out of the room. Just as I was about to call home to have clothes delivered, Leopard walked over carrying 2 bags and handed them to me. I wasn't surprised. Since they couldn't openly protect the eldest young lady, they had clearly switched to surveillance. Seeing the mischievous grin on Leopard's face, I glanced at my bathrobe and said, "Don't even." "I know." He handed me a cigarette. "You took a 40-minute cold shower." We were timing it. I was speechless. "Please help me pass a message to Lord Eagle," I said. "I won't do anything to harm the eldest young lady." He nodded, then added, "That kind of thing doesn't count as harm. The eldest young lady isn't someone who hasn't had child-raised husbands before. The fact that you could bathe with her and still hold back, we all respect you for that." He gave me a thumbs up. I gave a bitter smile. Willow's brutality was well known, so were her beauty and figure. My self-control was as fragile as gauze in front of her. I couldn't let something like that happen again. She would regain her memory sooner or later. I would eventually find a way to leave. There were lines between us that must never be crossed. After changing clothes, exhaustion hit me hard. With Jackal and the others guarding the place and the entire floor sealed off, I drew the curtains to block out the harsh afternoon sun, wrapped myself in a blanket, and lay down on the floor to sleep. After about 2 hours, I received a voice message from Freya. "George, I know you're angry with me because I chose Makoto and gave you up, but that doesn't affect your place in my heart. You've always been the person I trust most." Before she could finish, Makoto's voice interrupted from the other end. "Heh, when she was cold and cruel, she beat me. Now that she's lost her mind, she knows how to protect people, and she's still beating me. Why? I want George dead." Freya snapped. "Can you stop talking?" The voice message was quickly withdrawn. A moment later, she sent 2 more messages, basically urging me, from the standpoint of our past relationship, to keep my mouth shut and not say anything I shouldn't. I let out a mocking laugh, turned off my phone, and went back to sleep. We ended up sleeping until dawn. When I woke up, Willow was still asleep. I located the listening device and said softly, "Prepare breakfast for the eldest young lady." Soon, there was a knock at the door. Willow's eyes snapped open instantly. There wasn't the slightest trace of drowsiness. Even with her memory gone, the vigilance ingrained in her bones hadn't disappeared. I quickly reassured her. "It's fine. There's no danger. It's just breakfast." She looked at me, blinked, relaxed, and burrowed back under the blanket. Outside, Leopard stood with 2 breakfasts in hand, his expression dark. "Who told you surveillance was meant to be used like that? I can't exactly wake her up just to ask for food, can I?" Leopard was speechless. I took the breakfast and placed it on the table, laying out her portion one by one. It had been specially prepared by a nutritionist, rich and well-balanced. "Miss, your meal is ready." She lifted the blanket and sat up. The bathrobe had somehow turned into a deep V-neck, off-shoulder style, but she still looked a little dazed, her hair fluffy and slightly messy. There was an innocent allure to her that was almost too much. "Miss, here are your clothes." I turned slightly and handed them to her. There was a rustling sound. "I'm done." When I turned around to look, the top was on backwards, the buttons misaligned, and she wasn't wearing any undergarments. The shape beneath the fabric was even more noticeable than when she wore the bathrobe. Holding up a white lace bra to her head, she asked, "Is this a new kind of bow?" The veins on my forehead throbbed. I turned toward the listening device and snapped, "Who the hell bought these clothes? She's mentally 6 years old. Why would you send something like this?" From the next room came Leopard's roar. "I had someone at the house send them over. How would I know what's inside? She may be 6 mentally, but she's still the eldest young lady. What? Do you expect her to wear children's clothes? Send over something sporty, now, immediately." The sound of a door slamming came from the other side. I exhaled heavily, then turned back, forcing a smile. She frowned slightly, her eyes reddening. "George, did I do something wrong?" My heart softened. No, someone else did, but she couldn't stay like this forever. I stepped forward to fix her clothes. Feeling the soft lace beneath my fingers, I steeled myself, closed my eyes, and tried to help her put it on. But with my sight gone, my sense of touch became even sharper. Every nerve in my body tightened. No matter how careful I was, contact was unavoidable, and just as I lifted my head, my lips seemed to brush lightly against hers. My mind exploded into blankness. Chapter 10. At that very moment, for some reason, Willow leaned in again. Our lips met once more, and my blood surged uncontrollably. I stumbled back 2 steps and, with what little rationality I had left, rushed out of the ward. I asked the nurses to help her get dressed and check her wounds. While I stood outside smoking a cigarette, 2 nurses walked out, not noticing me by the trash can at the corner, chatting softly. "Her figure is amazing, and her skin is so elastic, so fair and smooth. I'm so jealous. And her lips are so attractive, the kind people online say are perfect for kissing. How can someone be this flawless?" My hand trembled. Damn it, don't think about it. But the images still forced their way into my mind. I stood there frozen for a long while, only snapping back when the cigarette burned my fingers. I quickly extinguished it. When I returned to the ward, Willow was already dressed and sitting obediently at the table, eating. I sat down by the sofa and opened a simple meal. George, come eat with me. Your breakfast looks awful. I'm used to it. You go ahead. Willow frowned. No, I want you to eat with me. Give that one to those 4 over there. If you don't agree, I won't eat either. The eldest young lady's breakfast was indeed lavish, more than enough for both of us. I gave in, sat beside her, and said toward the listening device at the foot of the bed, "You heard her, the miss said you can have it." After a moment, Leopard walked in again, looking displeased. He took my meal, placed down a suitcase, and said, "Thank you, miss." Willow blinked, puzzled. Why does he come in when you talk over there? It happened just now too. They're monitoring us, I explained. Don't worry, it's your father looking out for your safety. They won't hurt you. Willow pouted. I don't like it, I suggested. Then give an order for me to leave. They'll stop listening. She shook her head and grabbed my hand. I won't let you go. If they want to listen, let them. I smiled helplessly and patted her hand. Eat first. I'm not going anywhere. Willow picked up some food, just about to eat, when a scream and a heavy thud came from the next room. Immediately after, Jackal rushed in. Miss, don't eat, it's poisoned. I knocked the food from Willow's hand and pulled her away from the table. What happened? Didn't you test the food? I demanded. Jackal lowered his head in guilt. We didn't. It was sent by Lord Eagle's chef. I'm sorry, miss, it was my negligence. Willow looked a bit lost. I issued the order in her place. Call someone to test it immediately. Inform Lord Eagle. Detain everyone who came into contact with the food. Yes. Half an hour later, new food was delivered, but Willow had already lost her appetite. After testing, it turned out her food was fine. It was mine that had been poisoned. At any time, only her food would be checked. Mine never was. That wasn't considered negligence. Leopard had unfortunately become the scapegoat. He was rushed to emergency treatment, but they couldn't save him. Lord Eagle personally came to the hospital again and asked to see me alone. He said, because of you, Leopard lost his life. The 4 of them have been with me since they were 5 years old, 20 years now. They're like my sons. I knelt on the ground. Lord Eagle, my condolences. He asked, do you know who did it? It felt like something Makoto would do, but before I could speak, Freya knocked on the door. Father, I've found out who poisoned the food. Come in. I stood aside to make room as Freya's men carried in a body. It was one of the kitchen workers responsible for preparing meals. Her face was darkened, lifeless, the exact same condition as Leopard. Freya said, she was punished by my sister before and held a grudge. When she heard that my sister was ill, she planned to poison her. But since the eldest sister's food is handled by your people, she had no opportunity, so she poisoned George's food instead. When I found her, she confessed personally, but she was afraid of being tortured, so she took poison in advance. Makoto and my men can all testify. Chapter 11. Makoto stood at the doorway with his arms crossed, leaning against the frame, looking at me with a half-smile. His gaze was full of provocation, as if to say, even if I want to kill you, Freya will protect me. Lord Eagle let out a sigh. Well done. You may leave. Freya cast me a deep, unreadable glance before turning and walking out. When the room was left with just the 2 of us again, Lord Eagle spoke once more. You're not suitable to remain by Willow's side, but right now, she depends on you. The doctor said her brain must not be stimulated further, so I won't touch you. I'll give you a task. Help her recover her memory as soon as possible. Protect her safety the way you used to protect Freya. When it's done, I'll give you $50 million and send you abroad. I almost said, those are 2 separate tasks, but the money was enough, and more importantly, I had no choice. Yes, Lord Eagle. When I looked up, I saw him retract the miniature pistol hidden inside his cane. When I returned to the ward, Willow still hadn't eaten. I touched the plate. It was still warm, so I coaxed her. Miss, eat something. You're injured, you need proper nutrition. Willow came over and climbed into my arms. George, how can you not be scared at all? Someone tried to kill you. I was so frightened. Was it that ugly man from yesterday? Her intuition was sharp, but I couldn't admit it. In case she did something to provoke Freya again. It wasn't him. The culprit has already been caught. Don't worry. Willow looked up at me. George, they all seem to be afraid of me. That means I can protect you. If anything happens to you in the future, don't be afraid. If someone bullies you, fight back. If you can't win, tell me, I'll fight for you. Looking at her serious expression, a warmth spread through my chest. All my life, people had only told me how to protect the Liu family's daughters, how to endure, how to prioritize the bigger picture. No one had ever told me that I should be protected too, that if I was wronged, I should fight back. At that moment, I realized that I might never forget this dreamlike period of time, this girl who clung to me like a child, yet warmed my heart, but it was a pity. She would eventually regain her memory, and when she did, she would surely regret ever lying in the arms of someone she once considered a thorn in her side, softly saying she would protect me. When that time came, she would kill me without hesitation. I asked, Do you really want to protect me? Willow nodded firmly. Yes, I said. Then, can you become the way you used to be? She looked confused. What was I like before? Very powerful. Everyone was afraid of you. You're already the head of the family. If you go back to how you were before, no one will dare bully me, she said. Okay, teach me, what should I do? Over the next few days, I gathered videos of Willow attending events, studying her past gestures, speech patterns, expressions, and demeanor. I forced myself to relearn who she used to be in the shortest time possible. Then I watched with her and slowly taught her. I didn't remove the surveillance, nor did I hide anything from Lord Eagle. I explained to him that this would help her recover her memory. Lord Eagle didn't object, as long as it doesn't stimulate her brain and worsen her condition. Do as you wish. Jackal and the other 3 will follow your orders. Thank you, Lord Eagle. Willow learned quickly. After all, those traits were ingrained in her. It only took a slight push for them to resurface. And she was truly adorable. One second she would be cold and regal like a queen. The next, when I told her to take a break, she would immediately pounce into my arms, clinging like a koala, acting spoiled in a soft, childish voice. George, I'm tired. Massage my shoulders. So I did. Then she said, massage my face, puffing out her cheeks. I couldn't help but chuckle, cupping her face and gently kneading it. And here too, she puckered her lips, her bright black eyes closing, her lashes long like butterfly wings. I sighed. Have you been looking at something you shouldn't on your phone again? She panicked and hid the phone behind her back. No. I held out my hand. Hand it over. Pouting pitifully, she reluctantly gave it to me. I had set her password, so I unlocked it easily. Turns out, it was idle dramas. This kind of thing will rot your brain. It's not suitable for kids. If you want to watch something, tell me. Kids should only use phones under adult supervision. Understand? I understand. Chapter 12. That night, she pulled me onto the bed. Can I use my phone for a while? You can. I watched as she opened the browser and skillfully searched for husband and wife. A flood of intimate relationship content appeared, and she began reading it with great interest. I immediately snatched the phone away. You can't look at that, she accused me. You're not a good husband. You never hold me while we sleep. I was speechless. She said confidently, if you won't let me watch, then you have to hold me while we sleep tonight. No. She asked. Why not? Aren't you my husband? I had no answer. She smiled, tugged my hand, and lay down in my arms, her eyes closed, her breathing brushing against my chest. Even through the fabric, I could clearly feel her warmth. It was unbearable, like feathers brushing against the tip of my heart. Impossible to grasp. She said, George, if we sleep like this, will we have a baby? I jolted and pulled my hand away. I'll go get some water. You sleep first. I stepped out. Jackal handed me a box of condoms and stuffed it into my coat pocket. Be smart. Lord Eagle won't allow you two to produce a child. I frowned. Is your listening device broken? Which ear of yours heard me having such ridiculous thoughts? People like us had no right to let the eldest young lady become pregnant. If she hadn't lost her memory, she would never have said something like that. Her child would be the next family head, and the father of that child had to be someone of high status. Even Willow and Freya didn't share the same mother. When I returned to the room, Willow was already asleep. I pulled out a blanket and went back to sleeping on the floor. I had just closed my eyes when Willow got off the bed and crawled into my arms. Smelling the faint scent of shampoo from her hair, I let out a helpless sigh. The weather was turning colder. How could I let her sleep on the floor with me? I carried her back onto the bed. She grabbed onto my clothes and murmured, George, do you not like me? I took off my coat, warmed my hands, and held her. That's not it. Her hand slipped under my shirt, lightly tracing over my abs. George, married couples sleep together without clothes. You're doing it wrong. I wrapped her restless hand tightly in the blanket. Sleep. The day I decided to discharge Willow from the hospital, bad news arrived. Third Uncle Zhao had died at home from a heart attack. Lord Eagle's condition worsened due to the shock and he was rushed into emergency treatment. When I brought Willow to the hospital, the other uncles, along with Freya and Makoto, had already arrived. Outside the operating room, fourth Uncle Wu said, if Lord Eagle falls, then we old men will take charge together and let Freya become the family head. Second Uncle Song asked, wouldn't that go against Big Brother's wishes? Fourth Uncle Wu said coldly, then what else can we do? Willow hasn't recovered yet. If we let her manage the company, wouldn't people laugh at us for being led by a fool? I wouldn't even have the face to go out anymore. I leaned close to Willow's ear and quickly fed her a line. She memorized it, her expression turning cold. Killing intent naturally surfaced in her eyes. She said icily, Fourth Uncle, who are you calling a fool? The reason you've lost face isn't because of that, is it? Isn't it because your son's orientation was exposed, and your daughter-in-law gave birth to 2 children, one black, one white, neither of them your Fu family's blood? Why blame others? That was a sore spot for fourth Uncle Wu. No one dared to mention it. Yet Willow said it without hesitation. Chapter 13. Fourth Uncle Wu was so furious that his teeth clenched, but then he suddenly realized something. Wait, that tone. Everyone turned to look at Willow, who was walking down the corridor. She wore a tailored black suit, red-soled high heels, her hair tied into a neat ponytail. Her lips were slightly curved, eyeliner sharply lifted. Her arrogance and commanding presence were amplified to the extreme. Behind her, Jackal, the others, and I all faded into the background. Freya still noticed me. She hadn't expected Willow to recover so quickly, and even more so, that after regaining her memory, Willow would still keep me by her side. Unease flickered in her eyes. Second Uncle Song was the first to step forward. Willow, you've recovered. I had already helped Willow recognize everyone beforehand. Her memory was excellent. Willow nodded. Second Uncle, I'm fine now. Song nodded in relief. That's good. If your father sees that you've recovered, he'll be very happy. I asked, how is Lord Eagle doing? He was brought in just in time and is still in emergency treatment. But third brother, I lowered my head. My condolences. Second Uncle. Willow copied me, lowering her head as well. She was about to repeat the same words, but I leaned closer as if listening to her, then spoke for her. I understand, miss. Third Uncle will be given a proper burial. Willow blinked in confusion. Second Uncle Song said, then we'll leave it to you younger ones. I'm too old to handle things now. Freya stepped forward, cautiously observing Willow. Big sister, have you really recovered? When it came to Freya, Willow needed no prompting. She instinctively fired back. Oh, you sound disappointed. Of course not. I'm happy for you. Big sister, doesn't look like you are. Freya forced a smile. Willow waved her hand dismissively. Don't smile. It's too ugly. It's unpleasant to look at. Freya was speechless. Makoto approached nervously. Miss, I had already told Willow that Makoto had wronged her. She could deal with him however she wished. Willow slapped him without hesitation. You still have the nerve to show your face in front of me. If you weren't so filthy, I'd kill you right now. Get outside and kneel. Makoto was speechless. He quickly hid behind Freya. Freya told him to leave first. The other uncles, seeing Willow's overwhelming killing intent, didn't dare approach or provoke her. No one mentioned making Freya the family head anymore. An hour later, the doctor came out. Family of Lord Eagle. Willow was still staring blankly at the sparrows outside the window. My fault. I hadn't told her Lord Eagle's full name. I nudged her forward. This is our eldest young lady, the doctor said. The patient is out of danger, but he's still unconscious. He'll need to stay in intensive care for observation for a few days. Please go handle the paperwork. Willow nodded and turned to leave. I stopped her and had Tiger handle the paperwork instead. When Lord Eagle was wheeled out, Freya rushed forward, tears in her eyes. Father, can you hear me? You must wake up soon. Willow said bluntly. They said he's unconscious. Are you stupid? Freya was speechless. Fourth Uncle Wu finally seized the opportunity. Willow, your father is in this state and you're not worried at all. You haven't even shed a single tear. Isn't that a bit too cold-blooded? Willow had her own logic. If I cry, will he get better? And if I cry him to death instead, will you take responsibility? Fourth Uncle Wu was left speechless. Sixth Uncle nudged him from the side. Why provoke her? Chapter 14. After arrangements were made for Lord Eagle's protection, I left with Willow. Once we got into the car, Willow immediately relaxed and burrowed into my arms. George, that was so scary. Acting like a bad person is so hard. I didn't give anything away, did I? Seeing her act spoiled in that outfit, even Jackal, who was driving, couldn't help but let his hands tremble slightly. I was mentally stronger than him. After spending so much time together recently, I had gotten used to it. I patted her head. No, you did very well, Willow said softly. If I could, I really wouldn't want to be a bad person anymore. She leaned against my shoulder. If I weren't the eldest young lady anymore, would you still be my husband? I wrapped an arm around her shoulders. There's no if, miss. Get some rest. Tonight we still have to attend third uncle's vigil. She gave a muffled clearly unhappy, and didn't speak to me again afterward. As soon as we arrived at the company, Freya followed right behind us. She said, Big sister, while you were ill, Father asked me to manage the company. Let me brief you on the recent key operations and financial situation. I pressed the elevator button for Willow and replied, there's no need to trouble the second young lady. We can directly coordinate with the heads of each department. Freya still had a smile on her face, but her eyes had already darkened. When the elevator arrived, Jackal blocked her outside. Inside the elevator, Jackal spoke in a low voice. The assistant who stayed with Lord Eagle last night told me, before he collapsed, he was reviewing the accounts from third uncle's branch company. After something happened, he noticed discrepancies and hid the records. I said, have him send it to the eldest young lady's email. When we reached the office, Jackal and I split up. Wolf and Tiger went to deal with the company's mess, while Jackal and I reviewed third uncle's accounts. Willow's task was simple: stay obedient and rest. 2 hours later, Wolf came back cursing. The company's accounts are a complete mess, and operations are in chaos. Whoever we ask just apologizes but can't explain anything. Push them a little further and they resign. In just these 2 hours, over a dozen management staff have already left. The company is practically paralyzed. We called clients, either they don't pick up, or they answer just to curse at us and demand repayment. In short, we made zero progress in 2 hours. All we got was frustration and a $50 million debt lawsuit. Tiger's face was dark. I don't even need to think to know this is the second young lady's doing. Wolf gritted his teeth. How long has it even been since something happened to the eldest young lady? And she already dares to hollow out the company right under Lord Eagle's nose. What exactly is she trying to do? I said gravely. This didn't start in the past few days. We just reviewed the accounts. This has been going on for over a year. Back then, it was carefully concealed. If not for the eldest young lady's accident, her company suddenly losing funds, nearing bankruptcy, and then being merged into the main company, it wouldn't have caused such obvious discrepancies now. The earlier manipulations wouldn't have been so easy to detect. Jackal added. The eldest young lady's company had no operational issues the moment she died. Its cash flow collapsed. It must be related to the second young lady. She must have assumed the eldest young lady was dead and that Lord Eagle would leave the country in grief, making her the next family head. That's why she relaxed and allowed so many holes to appear in the accounts. Before this, fourth Uncle Wu was managing the company. Her influence must have already extended into it long ago. You should know something about this, shouldn't you? Chapter 15. I shook my head. Although I've always stayed by the second young lady's side, there are many things she deliberately kept from me. For example, when fourth Uncle Wu came to discuss matters with her, or when she attended business engagements with senior executives. Also, large sums of money would mysteriously appear in her accounts. Jackal frowned. Large sums of money? Could it be related to the losses from third uncle's company? Tiger asked. What do you mean? Third uncle gave all his company's money to the second young lady. He's not even that generous to his own children. Could she be his? Jackal smacked him on the head. What nonsense are you talking about? If Lord Eagle were here, you'd be punished again. Wolf flipped through third uncle's accounts. At first glance, there's nothing wrong. His company has been losing money for a year. Everyone knows that. And so does Lord Eagle. I explained. It looks fine at first glance, but take another look at these. Jackal and I pulled out expense records from a year ago and had the household retrieve surveillance footage from the same period. When everything was laid out together, the problem became obvious. Wolf inhaled sharply. Their guts are unbelievable. Whenever third uncle's company suffered losses, he would go to Lord Eagle, acting pitiful and pleading for funds. He used various tricks to get Lord Eagle to approve money to cover the deficits. Meanwhile, he coordinated with fourth uncle, adding an extra zero to the approved amount, deceiving Lord Eagle and siphoning assets from the main company. Now, third uncle's company was still on the brink of collapse, and the hole in the main company's finances was far beyond repair. These chaotic accounts and the employees' evasive behavior were all meant to confuse us, to prevent us from quickly grasping the extent of the problem. Once Willow officially took over the company, they could shift all the blame onto her, making her the scapegoat for destroying the Liu family's century-old legacy. Tiger gritted his teeth. So Lord Eagle didn't collapse from grief over third uncle's death. He was furious. What do we do now? Lord Eagle is unconscious. The eldest young lady hasn't fully recovered. If the company collapses now, Jackal said, with third uncle's accounts, the surveillance footage, and the assistant's testimony, the eldest young lady can clear her name. But this only implicates fourth uncle. It doesn't tie the second young lady in. If only we could figure out the source of that large sum of money in her accounts. A memory surfaced in my mind, and I spoke. Before the eldest young lady's accident, the second young lady sent me abroad to assassinate the CEO of Arion Tech, President Ku. She said he had scammed her out of money. Jackal tensed. Don't tell me you killed a key witness. I shook my head. The assassination failed. Arion Tech was just a shell company. By the time we got there, it was already abandoned. The so-called President Ku didn't even exist. Jackal lowered his head. That complicates things. They didn't have time to track someone down now. Tiger said. Whoever was behind this is extremely capable. They must have let the second young lady taste success first. That's why she kept pouring money in. That explains the funds in her account. Jackal followed. She ran out of money, so she started using the main company's funds. Third uncle and fourth uncle helped her. They must have been involved in that project. The eldest young lady must have discovered something. That's why she was targeted in that car accident. All her trusted people were wiped out along with it. I turned to Jackal. Lord Eagle already knows about what happened to the eldest young lady's subordinates. Jackal nodded. That's why he's determined to put the eldest young lady in charge. He doesn't approve of the second young lady's actions. So many lives lost, and all he did was disapprove. He didn't even punish her, only denied her the position of family head. If Willow truly regained her memory and learned that her loyal subordinates, and even their families, had been eradicated without consequence, what would she feel? Or perhaps, she would be satisfied. After all, she had gained the position of family head. I looked at Willow's delicate profile for a moment, then said seriously, "We can't save the company. The only thing we can do now is find evidence of their investment project before they frame the eldest young lady, and take them all down in one sweep. At the same time, we must protect Lord Eagle at all costs, until he wakes up and takes control again." Jackal understood immediately and began making arrangements, quietly relocating Lord Eagle. Chapter 16. That night, Tiger and I brought a full team to protect Willow as we went to Third Uncle's house to keep vigil. By drawing Freya and the others' attention here, it created the perfect opportunity to move Lord Eagle. At the same time, we could search Third Uncle's house and see if we could find any evidence related to that investment project. Willow had slept the entire afternoon, so she was especially energetic at night. To prevent her from giving anything away, I made an exception and let her use her phone. She was delighted, no matter who came. She ignored them, her eyes glued to the screen, her face glowing with what others mistook for intense focus. No one dared disturb her. They all assumed she was handling critical company matters. Freya, however, felt uneasy. Even though everything had been carefully arranged, something about Willow's behavior made her feel like there was a flaw somewhere. She circled behind Willow several times to sneak a look. Each time, she ended up confused, her expression full of disbelief. I even heard her muttering, "There's no way Willow would look at something like this, she must be hiding something." I glanced at Willow's phone. She was completely engrossed in reading some bizarre novel, full of suggestive verbs and questionable phrasing. I snatched the phone away. A collective gasp rose from the room. He actually dared to take the eldest young lady's phone. Damn it, I acted on instinct and forgot we were outside. At that moment, Willow reacted quickly. She grabbed my hand, her lips curling into a lazy, alluring smile. Feeling neglected, "Come on, keep me company for a while." Everyone immediately looked away, not daring to stare. I let out a quiet sigh of relief. Those novels weren't entirely useless after all. We went into a guest room. I locked the door and said in a low voice, "If you keep reading that kind of stuff, I won't let you use your phone for the rest of your life." Willow replied, "If you won't act like a proper husband with me, then why can't I at least see how other couples do it?" "Wait, you said, for the rest of your life?" Her eyes lit up. "Deal. You have to keep watching over me for life, no backing out." I sighed. "Let's not talk about that now. I'm going to Third Uncle's study. Stay here. If anyone knocks, tell them to get lost." Willow immediately tensed, grabbing my hand. "No, I don't want to be apart from you. I'm scared." "Just forget the evidence. If the company collapses, then it collapses. What does it have to do with us?" It might not have anything to do with me, but it had everything to do with her. This was the best thing I could leave her. If I could use this opportunity to bring down the second young lady, secure Willow's position as family head, then I could leave with peace of mind. Be good. Once I get the evidence, I'll take you home to sleep. She was reluctant at first, but the moment I mentioned sleep, her eyes lit up again. "This time we sleep without clothes. I want to be on top." I was speechless. Looks like I'd have to figure out how to enable parental controls on her phone. After settling Willow, I climbed out through the window, carefully navigating the surveillance blind spots, and made my way up to the third floor. Third Uncle's study was connected to his bedroom. I had only been there once before, to deliver documents for Freya. Out of habit, I had memorized the surveillance layout. I entered the study and searched through the desk and bookshelves, but before I could find anything useful, I heard the door open. I quickly slipped into the bedroom and hid behind a half-closed door. The ones who entered were Freya and Fourth Uncle Wu. "Have all the contracts, documents, and related materials been destroyed?" Wu replied, "Do you not trust how I handle things? No one knows anymore that he partnered with us and got scammed in that investment." Freya took out another stack of documents from her bag and scattered them across the table. Wu glanced at them. "You're going to pin this on Willow too?" Freya said calmly. "Who else? Someone has to take the fall for Third Uncle's death. If he hadn't lost his nerve and tried to report me to Father, I wouldn't have needed to kill him. Now that Father is unconscious, Second Uncle Song is timid, and the rest of the uncles are all on our side, no one can protect Willow anymore. All of you used to praise her intelligence. Let's see just how capable she really is, whether she can break out of this situation. And if she can't, that burial spot I had specially prepared for her, the one said to doom a person's soul forever, will finally be put to use." It wasn't easy finding it. Wu nodded. "All right, I'll gather more people, just in case Willow makes a move." I stopped the recording. I hadn't expected to obtain the evidence so easily. Freya suddenly looked toward my direction. "Who's there?" Chapter 17. Fourth Uncle Wu narrowed his eyes. "It's pitch dark in there. How could there be anyone?" Freya said, "I just saw a flash from a phone. It looked like a face." Wu grew uneasy. Don't scare me like that. Third brother's body is still downstairs. Freya smirked. That's funny. You never blink when killing people, but now you're afraid of ghosts. She walked over, pulled the door open, and turned on the lights. The room was empty. She checked the closet, the bathroom, bent down to look under the bed, then walked to the window and glanced outside, her gaze sweeping across the surveillance points. This area just happened to be a blind spot. Wu asked. No one, right? Freya still wasn't reassured. The fleeting face she had seen lingered in her mind. The more she thought about it, the more it resembled someone familiar. She pushed Wu aside and strode out. Only after they left did I release my hold on the skeletal frame under the bed. I lay flat for a moment, then pushed myself up and rolled out. I moved to the window, about to climb down, when Freya's voice sounded behind me. I knew it was you. She had come back alone, a gun in her hand. From outside the window came the faint sound of banging on a door downstairs. Willow shouted, "Get lost," but the pounding didn't stop. Wu's voice rang out. She's the one who killed third brother. If she becomes the family head, none of us will survive. Capture her, make her pay with her life. Many voices echoed in agreement, along with Tiger's shout, "Protect the eldest young lady." Freya stepped closer. "Hand it over, George." I gave her the phone. She turned and tossed it into the fish tank. If you'd been this obedient earlier, it would have saved me a lot of trouble. Freya looked up at me. We've been together for 20 years. I truly don't want to kill you, George. I'll give you one more chance. Come back to my side. I noticed a reflection appear near the doorframe and said softly, "But you already have Makoto." Freya smiled. "I knew it. You're just angry with me. You haven't really changed your feelings. A cold-blooded woman like Willow doesn't deserve love. Come back to me. I'll treat you as well as before. Makoto is my lover, and you are my most loyal subordinate. I need both of you." I feigned hurt. "I don't want to just be your subordinate. You should know how I feel about you." Her gaze softened. "I know. That's why I'm giving you another chance." I asked, "Will I have what Makoto has?" She answered, "Yes." I slipped an arm around her waist, "Including you." Freya pressed her lips together and smiled faintly. "Has Willow really recovered her memory?" "Yes." "And why did father collapse?" "Because of third uncle's death. He was overwhelmed with grief. Lord Eagle is old. He's sentimental." Freya nodded in satisfaction. "Fourth uncle and the others probably aren't a match for Willow. Go kill her. I'll let you have me once." She lowered the gun, her fingertip tracing circles on my chest. "Any position you want, I'll satisfy you." "No." Makoto suddenly rushed out. "Freya, I love you so much. How can you betray me?" Freya frowned. "Makoto, stop causing trouble. Get out." The moment she was distracted, I moved, snatching her gun and pressing it against her temple. Makoto froze. Freya was equally stunned, unable to speak for a moment. "George, you dare kill me?" "Why wouldn't I? I've saved you countless times. Killing you once would still leave me at a loss. But now isn't the time. You'll need to come with me first." Makoto recovered and stepped forward. "George, let her go. I'll go with you." I sneered. "You. Not enough." Makoto snapped. "You." Freya signaled him with her eyes. I tightened my grip around her neck and fired a shot toward Makoto. Freya screamed. "No." Makoto reacted quickly this time, dodging and fleeing out the door. Only then did Freya let out a breath. "George, don't hurt Makoto. He's suffered enough. Whatever you want me to do, I'll cooperate." "Then let's go." I pushed Freya downstairs. The guest room door was already open. Tiger and his men were inside protecting Willow. Although fourth uncle's men outnumbered them, they hesitated, wary of Willow, and didn't dare charge in. Suddenly, Makoto leapt in through the window. Willow thought it was me at first, but the next second, a gun was pressed against her. "Miss, don't move," Makoto said. "You once broke this hand of mine. I can't hold a gun steady. It might go off." Willow showed no fear. The first thing she asked was, "Where's George?" "I'm here." "Fourth uncle, have your men step aside." Chapter 18. Fourth uncle Wu hadn't expected Freya to be captured by me. When he saw Makoto succeed, he thought victory was within reach. Now he had no choice but to give way. Makoto shouted, "Don't move, George. The eldest young lady is in my hands. If you dare hurt the second young lady, she'll die with her. If you know what's good for you, release her now." I smiled as if I didn't care. "How long have I even been with the eldest young lady? That can't compare to the deep bond between you and the second young lady. Want to shoot? Then let's fire together." The moment Willow heard that, her eyes reddened instantly. My heart tightened along with hers, but I couldn't show any weakness. If Makoto gained leverage over me, she wouldn't survive either. Fortunately, she only looked hurt. She didn't do anything rash. In contrast, Freya's face turned pale. She shouted at Makoto, "Have you lost your mind? You're gambling my life against his." Makoto gritted his teeth. "He's been your simp for 20 years. He'd even give his life for you. I don't believe he'd actually kill you." My gaze turned cold. "Since you know how much I've given for her, then you should also know how much it hurt to see the two of you together. Do you really think I wouldn't pull the trigger? I pressed the gun harder against Freya's temple. Second miss. Since Makoto wants to grant my wish, then let's go to hell together. Don't. George. Don't act rashly. Everyone. Listen to me. Fourth uncle. Stand down. Makoto. Step back. You both release them, and we'll pretend none of this ever happened. After saying that, she saw Willow's reddened eyes and assumed it was anger, adding, Big sister, what do you think? All right. Fourth uncle ordered his men to stand down. Makoto pushed Willow forward, while I dragged Freya back into the courtyard. Tiger and the others moved behind me, waiting for an opening. Freya said, George, let me go. I promise you'll leave safely. Second miss. At this point, do you think I can still trust you? Our 20 years together. I laughed. Stop bringing up those ridiculous 20 years. I fulfilled my duty with a clear conscience. What about you? I treated you well. I cut her off. Is your idea of treating a loyal subordinate well making him risk his life for you again and again? Then you'd better treat Makoto just as well. Freya fell silent. Makoto and I slowly moved forward at the same time. We stopped when we were only 2 meters apart. I released Freya. She walked forward slowly. Makoto released Willow as well. She walked toward me. The calm expression on Willow's face made me hesitate. Was the former eldest young lady back? Or had my Willow grown? As she brushed past Freya and met her gaze briefly, she turned to me, her eyes reddened again, lips pouting in grievance. My heart clenched. It was her, still the girl who would cling to me and act spoiled. And in that fleeting moment of distraction, Makoto fired. Without thinking, I rushed forward and shielded Willow with my body. A piercing pain exploded in my back. It felt as if a hand had torn open my chest, squeezing all the air out of my lungs at once. Breathing became difficult. My vision blurred. I could barely make out her tear-streaked face. George. I heard her cry out. A wave of fear surged through me, stronger than anything I had ever felt, even when facing death before. My girl. How many tears would she shed now? In my final moments of consciousness, I saw her snatch the gun from my hand. Her eyes turned cold and resolute. Before Makoto could fire a second shot, she pulled the trigger again and again. But the scream that followed wasn't Makoto's. It was Freya's. Chapter 19. Neither side continued the fight. The first priority was to send both me and Freya for treatment. I had only taken 1 bullet, but my injuries were far more severe than Freya's, because the shots Willow fired were aimed at Makoto, and without hesitation. He had dragged Freya in front of him to take the bullets. Freya was hit 3 times, but none of the shots struck vital points. Freya had always been protected by me. She had never imagined that one day, she would be used as a human shield. Makoto kept apologizing, tears streaming down his face, but not a trace of pity remained in Freya's heart. She looked at George, being carried onto a stretcher not far away, his blood trailing along the ground. The image of him throwing himself in front of Willow without hesitation struck her like a heavy blow. Only at this moment did she realize what she had lost. As she was wheeled into surgery and anesthesia was administered, she still couldn't help asking, George, the one who was shot like me, can he be saved? Please, you must save him. The doctor replied, we will do everything we can for every patient. Please rest assured. During the long surgery, Freya's mind replayed the past 20 years she had spent with George, like scenes flashing by in a montage. Their first meeting had been at the training facility. Lord Eagle had selected 5 children for her and Willow to choose from. At first glance, she had taken a liking to George, steady and mature beyond his years. But Makoto was too beautiful. He smiled, and that smile captured her attention. Seeing that Freya was looking at Makoto, Willow chose him. So Freya had no choice but to choose George. From that moment on, Makoto became a thorn in her heart. Especially when Willow deliberately tormented Makoto to provoke her, Freya's heart would ache, and she would wish she could snatch Makoto away immediately. But she had ignored the real reason Makoto was beaten. He was lazy, cunning, unwilling to endure hardship. Whenever danger arose, he ran faster than Willow. When caught, he would cry, make a scene, and play pitiful. Willow never indulged him, each punishment harsher than the last. Yet he never changed. All he did was complain behind her back and secretly smear Willow, until he realized Freya's feelings for him and found his true backing. Before, Freya couldn't see Makoto's flaws, but today, she finally did. There truly was no comparison. In the 20 years she spent with George, no matter what danger she faced, he always protected her, ensuring she emerged unscathed. At 9 years old, she was kidnapped. While the kidnappers negotiated with Lord Eagle, George crawled through the ventilation shaft, pulled her in, and pushed her ahead to escape, only to be discovered himself. Without hesitation, he sealed the vent entrance, buying her time to flee. By the time Lord Eagle stormed in with his men, George had already taken down 4 kidnappers. The remaining 4 were about to kill him in rage, but Lord Eagle arrived just in time. That time, George had 4 broken ribs, 3 stab wounds, 1 severing a major artery. If he had reached the hospital even a minute later, he would have died. At 11, she was targeted by one of Lord Eagle's enemies, a meticulously planned assassination attempt. They were driven into the mountains. George instructed the driver to veer off-road, disrupting the enemy's route. He hid her in the wilderness, then put on her coat and fled with the driver to draw the attackers away. When the Liu family's bodyguards arrived, George had just crawled out of a burning vehicle, covered in blood like a vengeful spirit, both arms severely burned, all enemies around him dead. At 12, during an avalanche, George held up a massive rock with both arms, shielding her from the storm. She stayed safe in his arms until rescue arrived. He, however, suffered severe hypothermia, his arms frostbitten to the point of nearly needing amputation. At 14, 17, 20, for 20 years, George moved between hospital beds and her side. He was a frequent patient in the operating room, the man who was too hard to kill, as the chief surgeon called him. She took pride in her flawless, delicate skin. George, in contrast, bore a body full of scars, always dressed in long sleeves and long pants. She loved his loyalty, relied on the safety he gave her, yet she couldn't resist being drawn to Makoto, feeling pain for him. In the end, she chose to abandon George and exchange him for the one she had long desired, Makoto, and the price was this. No one would protect her anymore. She was pushed in front of bullets by the men she loved, and ended up lying on an operating table. Chapter 20. In her hazy consciousness, she could still feel the cold and the pain, because she had rarely endured pain before. She cried uncontrollably, her body trembling in fear. A realization struck her. So this is the place George lies in so often. This is the pain he endures again and again. She remembered the restrained darkness in George's eyes behind her, the habit of always walking half a step behind, the steady reassurance of seeing him every time she opened a door. That year, under the cherry blossom tree, petals fell onto her head. George had raised his hand to brush them away, but she slapped his hand aside. She had said, "George, what I want is only a loyal subordinate." George lowered his hand and silently stepped back. Freya cried even harder now. This time, it wasn't from pain, but from regret. A love she had only realized too late. "I had a long dream. In that dream, it was the day we first met at the training facility. A young willow threw herself into my arms, crying, asking me to go with her. A clean, delicate little girl, her eyes red, her nose red, tears falling like shining pearls. I wanted to hold her close, but Lord Eagle burst in, scolding her harshly. As the eldest daughter of the Liu family, you cannot be weak, you cannot cry," she protested stubbornly. "Why can my sister cry, but I can't?" Lord Eagle said. "She is the younger daughter. You are the eldest. The burdens you carry are different. Willow, from the moment you were born, you were never meant to live freely." Under Lord Eagle's arrangement, Willow chose Makoto, whose abilities were not outstanding, because only then would she be forced to grow stronger. Instead of relying on others, Freya, guided by Lord Eagle, chose me. So that was the truth. The memory had been too distant. I had misunderstood it all this time. The eldest young lady hadn't chosen Makoto out of affection. Lord Eagle had already decided the successor back then. For a long time after that, I couldn't forget that little girl who cried in my arms. But when I saw her again, she had become violent and cold, wielding a whip, beating Makoto until he was covered in wounds. Everyone feared her. She had become exactly what Lord Eagle wanted her to be. Gradually, I forgot her. I focused on doing my duty, protecting Freya. But Freya was too weak, too playful. My entire life revolved around her, just to keep her safe. Pouring all my energy into her made me believe I loved her. I treated her with sincerity, patience, loyalty, only for it all to be discarded and shattered. I became the biggest joke in the Liu family. And then, that little girl who once cried returned. Those eyes, once filled with violence, became clear again. She was clingy, playful, pouting, always burrowing into my arms, her soft hair brushing against my chest, leaving me helpless, yet unwilling to let go. The feelings I had buried deep resurfaced. My broken heart was pieced together again by her warmth, and each time she stood in front of me to protect me, it began to beat again, for her. Bang, bang. Gunshots shattered everything. All those beautiful memories vanished. What remained was the sharp, decisive figure, ice cold, firing multiple shots without hesitation. I slowly opened my eyes. A dim, unfamiliar room. The air carried the familiar scent of body wash. This wasn't a hospital, nor was it home. The 4 drip beside me was still flowing, drop by drop, but my hand didn't feel cold. Following the tube down, I saw a soft, fluffy head. She had fallen asleep, resting on her arm, both hands gripping the 4 line, using her own body warmth to warm the fluid entering me. She was Willow. Yet, not the Willow I thought she was. The 4 finished dripping. I was about to quietly remove the needle without waking her, but she suddenly opened her eyes and skillfully pulled it out for me, stretching as she pressed down on my hand. The moment our eyes met, she froze, then smiled. "You're awake." She carefully nestled into my arms, her eyes slightly damp. "George, I thought you didn't want to wake up. You scared me. I missed you so much. I was so afraid." I pulled my hand away, then felt her tears soak into my chest. After a brief pause, I placed my hand gently back on her head and said sincerely, "You've worked hard, miss." She blinked. "Why are you being so polite? You ended up like this because you saved me. Besides, we're husband and..." I cut her off. "No need to keep acting, miss. Thank you for playing along with this amnesia game with me. If you have a purpose, just say it directly. I can't afford such kindness from you." Chapter 21. Willow lifted her head. The tears at the corner of her eyes hadn't dried yet, but a faint cold smile appeared on her lips. "How did you figure it out?" I said. "She wouldn't have fired the gun." Willow nodded. "Then I didn't fail completely. At least the earlier parts were convincing." A heavy ache settled in my chest. "So, you never actually lost your memory?" Willow narrowed her eyes slightly. "Were you testing me? Can you give me a reason?" Even if she wanted to take revenge on Freya, there was no need to involve herself like this, starting from someone like me, who meant little to Freya. As long as she secured the position of family head, that alone would be enough to make Freya lose sleep with anger. She leaned closer and asked, "George, was there never even a moment when you felt something for me?" I wanted to say no, but meeting her deep gaze, the words refused to come out. She got her answer and smiled with satisfaction. "George, I did it for you." What? Was I still not fully awake? Was I hallucinating? She said, "Your body is still very weak. I'll go get you something to eat." She stood up and left the room, leaving me completely confused. Half an hour later, she returned with hot food, helping me sit up and feeding me bite by bite. I wanted to say I could eat on my own, but I couldn't even lift my hand. "Don't rush," she said. "Recovery takes time. You lost too much blood and were unconscious for a week. It's normal to have no strength. The doctor said if you didn't wake up today, you would have become a vegetable. Is that so?" "I guess I'm hard to kill." She nodded. "Everyone in the Liu family says that. They say you're so hard to kill you could practically be brothers with death itself." I looked at Willow, unable to smile. She didn't say anything more. After I finished eating, she left, telling me to rest well. I noticed a phone beside me. It was mine. The one I had given Freya that day had been Willow's confiscated phone. The recording was still there. I saw nearly 400 missed calls from Freya, and over 600 messages, voice and text. Long paragraphs. I was too tired. After reading just 2, I couldn't continue. The rest likely said the same thing. Regret, apologies, asking me to return to her. Things she had never said before, she said them all. Even, "I love you." Willow pushed the door open. Finished reading. She was, surprisingly considerate. "I suppose so," she said. "Makoto has already been abandoned by her and sent back to the training facility. I brought him out. What do you want to do with him?" I thought for a moment. "He came from the slums. Just send him back there." Willow nodded. "All right, your decision. There's one more thing." She looked at me, hesitating. "Forget it. We'll talk after you recover. But you have to promise me, don't contact Freya without my permission." I hadn't planned to contact her anyway, so I nodded. She turned to leave. I called out to her, "Miss, have you listened to the recording I have?" "I have," she replied. "The old man woke up the day after you were injured. He still wants to maintain appearances, cover everything up. He suppressed the matter and forbade anyone from bringing it up again. That meant one thing. He wouldn't let a witness like me live." Willow continued, "Right now, we're both under house arrest in my apartment. Fourth uncle and Freya are managing the company. He's forcing them to return the money they siphoned." I asked. "Then third uncle died for nothing?" Willow chuckled. "You pity him." I asked again. "Why is Lord Eagle confining you?" She was the successor he had painstakingly cultivated. She said, "He's afraid I'll oppose him. Afraid I'll run away and refuse to take over his broken empire." Her tone was so resigned that I couldn't help but laugh. "So why would you run? Isn't that what you've always wanted?" Willow looked at me seriously. "Which eye of yours saw that I wanted it? That kind of miserable job, who would want it?" My smile froze. I remembered what she had said before, that she didn't want this burden. And I remembered her question, "If I weren't the eldest young lady anymore, would you still be my husband?" So when she said earlier, "I did it for you," it hadn't been a hallucination. Chapter 22. A month later, my body could move freely again, but I could only move around inside the room. Outside, it was all Lord Eagle's people. Willow stayed in the room most of the time, just like before I woke up. Occasionally, she would go out, but Lord Eagle's men followed her every step of the way. The meals delivered each day were only enough for one person, so the two of us split them. The 4 drips were still brought in daily. She would pour them out and send them back. Presumably, Lord Eagle still didn't know that I had woken up. If he found out, It would be the day I died. I didn't ask her anymore why she was pretending to have amnesia. If I found out the truth, I was afraid I wouldn't have the heart to leave. Every day, as I kept recalling the details of that period, it all felt unbelievable. Someone so proud to her core, a high and mighty young lady, what did I do to deserve any of it? She never brought it up again either. When she was with me, she kept a proper distance. Only at night, when she thought I was sound asleep, would she come closer and gently lean against my back. God knows how much effort it took for me to resist the urge to turn around and hold her. I couldn't be with her. My ending would either be escape or death. There wasn't a single path that intersected with her future. Freya still called and sent messages every day, saying all kinds of pleading words, lowering herself completely. I had never seen her like this. Even when she was with Makoto, she had never been this humble, but my heart didn't waver at all. Still, in front of Willow, I would play Freya's voice messages over and over again. She also sent me photos, saying Makoto was dead. He died in a garbage dump in the slums. Not a single part of his body was intact, and his face had been destroyed. That kind of ending was more or less what I had expected for him. Letting him return to the slums wasn't out of kindness. I knew that after becoming Freya's kept husband, he had gone back there arrogantly, beating up everyone he used to dislike. Letting him go back was to make him repay all the debts he owed before leaving. Freya said, Makoto brought this upon himself. You should feel satisfied now, right? Since you're awake, come back. Okay. I just smiled it off and continued pretending to be dead, not replying, but I deliberately stared at my phone in a daze, as if reminiscing about the past. Willow watched from the side, the jealousy in her eyes impossible to hide. The way she looked reminded me of that willful young girl again. I almost couldn't suppress my smile. After I had figured out the situation outside and my physical strength had mostly recovered, I finally spoke to her. Young lady, I want to return to the second Mrs. side. I hope you'll grant me this. Willow clenched her fists, trying to keep her tone calm. She said, so you like her that much? Now that Makoto's dead, you can't wait to crawl back and be her dog? That was harsh, but I could only admit it. Yes. Willow let out a self-mocking laugh. Her eyes turned red uncontrollably. After spending so long with me, it seemed her ability to control her emotions had deteriorated. She said, fine. Listen carefully. She dialed Freya's number. The call was picked up almost immediately. Big sister, has George woken up? No. The doctor just confirmed that he'll never wake up. He's become a vegetable. Do you still love him? Without the slightest hesitation, Freya replied, I love him. Give him back to me. I'll take care of him for the rest of my life. Willow said, the position of family head, or George, you choose. Freya froze for 2 seconds before saying, Big sister, what do you mean? Dad would never agree to let me be the head. He's always favored you. Willow said, if you choose the position, George stays with me, I'll die with him. If you choose George, then he's yours, but I'll take the position of family head and kill both of you. The moment Willow finished speaking, I already knew what Freya would choose. After more than 10 seconds of hesitation, Freya said in a low voice, I choose the position. Freya had always been selfish. When Lord Eagle demanded money from her, she had none. Only by becoming the family head, by becoming Lord Eagle's only daughter, could she have a way to survive. Between love and interests, she would always choose interests. Freya said, you better keep your word. Big sister. Chapter 23. Willow hung up the phone, raised an eyebrow, and looked at me. See how worthless you are now? I didn't see that. I thought this was the most valuable bet I had ever made. When I heard her say she would die with me, I almost couldn't hold back my tears. Willow pressed her lips together and said, she's not someone worth loving. You've been seriously injured again and again trying to protect her. Has she ever felt heartache for you? Do you know how jealous I was watching you throw your life away for her over and over? I was so jealous I was going insane. I even pretended to be crazy and foolish just to have you, George, but you chose her again. Willow lunged at me, pushing me down onto the bed. Her burning tears fell onto my chest. Her lips followed, kissing me without any order, tearing open my shirt, venting the emotions she could no longer suppress. I stopped holding back as well, wrapping my arms tightly around her slender waist, kissing her back, letting her understand my feelings. She lifted her head, her chest heaving as she said, I pretended to be pure for so long. Turns out you like this kind of forceful love. I said, I like you. Willow froze. I struck the back of her neck with my palm. She collapsed onto my chest. I coughed dully a couple of times. The wounds that hadn't fully healed throbbed faintly, but I still held her tightly, reluctant to let go. Carefully, I kissed away her tears, then lingered on her lips for a long time, engraving her sweetness into my very bones. My young lady. I wish you a brilliant future and boundless glory. I left the phone for her, then pulled the door open and rushed out. Under the night sky, the harbor had a unique beauty. Lord Eagle sat in a wheelchair, personally seeing me off on my final journey. Lord Eagle, you've broken your word. Lord Eagle smiled. This sea leads abroad. Letting you die here counts as sending you overseas. As for the 50 million, I'll burn it for you. Do it. Jackal walked over and tied 2 dumbbells to my feet. Sorry, just doing my duty. I nodded. Understood. Please take good care of the young lady in the future. Jackal looked at me in surprise. Kid, you're still playing the innocent lover at a time like this? I said. If I wait until I'm dead, that's a ghost romance. I'm not into that. Tiger lit a cigarette and placed it between my lips. You're the luckiest one in the Liu family. If you die by my hand, I can brag about it for the rest of my life. I took a deep drag and slowly exhaled. Maybe do something worthwhile before you brag. Then let's do it. Tiger covered my head with a sack, and together with Jackal, they carried me and threw me into the sea. Splash. Seawater flooded into the sack as my body rapidly sank. With effort, I moved my hands from beneath my feet to the front, just about to bite through the rope. Splash. What was that? Did Lord Eagle discover they had gone easy on me? I quickly broke free from the sack, only to see light suddenly illuminate the surface of the sea, revealing Willow's face, beautiful like a sea siren, as she desperately swam toward me. On the shore, many people shouted, "Young lady, pull her back up." Lord Eagle shouted so hard his voice nearly broke. Many people jumped into the water, Jackal and Tiger taking the lead. I swam upward with all my strength, trying to get Willow to go back, but the dumbbells on my feet hadn't been removed. I lowered my head to untie them. The more anxious I got, the clumsier my hands became, and my body kept sinking. Before I could undo them, Willow reached me. She pressed down on my hands that were trying to remove the weights, hugged me tightly, and sank down with me. No, I shook my head at her. I never truly wanted to die, I just wanted to escape. Willow shook her head as well. From inside her clothes, she took out a breathing device and shoved it into my mouth. My eyes widened. I glanced inside her clothes. She raised her hand and slapped me. I was speechless. She had brought a small oxygen tank, enough for both of us to breathe for a while. We took turns breathing, sinking deeper and deeper. Jackal and the others, without weights, couldn't descend that far, and as the visibility below grew worse, all they could see was Willow holding me tightly as we sank together. Their lungs were about to burst. Left with no choice, they all surfaced. Chapter 24. Lord Eagle waited anxiously. Jackal shook his head. Lord Eagle, we couldn't stop her. The young lady died for love. Lord Eagle shouted in collapse. Useless fools. All those years I spent raising her were for nothing. In reality, divers in the deep waters had rescued us. They left behind 2 corpses dressed like us, tied with dumbbells, sinking into the depths. After reaching shore, I looked at those divers. They were actually Willow's trusted subordinates. Confused, I asked, "They?" Willow rolled her eyes at me, gave me another slap, and dragged me into a car with a North City plate. After getting in, she shut the partition, stripped off her soaked clothes, and sat on me. She said, "Try pushing me away one more time." "I won't." I held the back of her neck and kissed her. Our tightly entwined bodies indulged under the shifting glow of streetlights, trembling, sinking, the flames we had suppressed for so long refusing to die down. That very night, we went to North City, changed our identities, and began a new life. I swore I would work hard to adapt to an ordinary life and find a job. Then I saw her 700 square meter countryside villa. Only then did Willow tell me, "I'm President Ku of Arion Technology." I was long tired of that life of fighting and killing, being bound at the top, constantly disguising myself with brutality and bloodlust. So I set a trap for Freya and the others. When they started wanting me dead, I withdrew all the company's funds, left them with a mess, and faked my death to escape with my loyal subordinates. The bodies in the car were assassins sent by Freya to kill me. The injuries my people suffered, I'll make Freya pay for them double. The only thing I couldn't let go of was you. I wanted to take you with me, but I wasn't sure you would come. So I had no choice but to pretend to have amnesia, go back to find you, and get close to you. At this point, she got angry again. "Idiot, you'd rather suffocate than touch me. Yet after everything Freya did to you, you still stayed loyal to her. Are you stupid?" I scratched my head. It wasn't for her. I just wanted to leave. So I didn't want to get too entangled with you. But actually, I already had you in my heart. If I had known you had an escape plan too. I gave a bitter smile. What was the point of all those days of painful restraint? She said, "You don't need to work. We have more money than we could ever spend in this lifetime. All the farmland here is mine. You just need to farm properly." "Yes, ma'am, my wife." Later, Freya got her wish and became the family head. But she only held the position for 1 day before a recording I had scheduled to be sent 3 days later got her arrested. With multiple crimes combined, she and 4th Uncle Wu were both sentenced to death. Lord Eagle struggled to keep the company afloat. But even after exhausting everything, he couldn't reverse the decline. The Liu family's century-long legacy came to an end. All the orphans in the reformatory were granted their freedom, With his daughter's death for love and the company's collapse, Lord Eagle was dealt a heavy blow overnight. His hair turned completely white, he seemed to age more than a decade. Freya called him every day, begging him to save her, but he ignored her. Under Jackal and the others' care, he had planned to spend the rest of his life in frailty. But unexpectedly, a group of mysterious people arrived and abducted him to North City. When he opened his eyes again, he saw a paradise-like villa, surrounded by the fragrance of fruits. 3 children were playing freely in the yard. Willow, heavily pregnant, sat on a swing chair, while I stood beside her feeding her grapes, massaging her shoulders and back, stealing kisses from time to time. He thought he was dreaming and stood there in a daze. Willow glanced at him but ignored him. I walked over and said, "Dad, that was a long journey, you must be tired. Have some watermelon to cool off. It's hotter here than in a city." Lord Eagle asked in confusion, "This isn't a dream, Willow." Willow stood up and walked toward the house. "Since you're here, stay. I'm not forgiving you, I just want you to see how well I'm living without you." Lord Eagle smiled. "Good. As long as you're living well, that's enough." Lord Eagle passed away in the 2nd year after coming to North City, closing his eyes with his 4 grandchildren by his side, and the days between Willow and me would continue in happiness.